welcome everybody. So I get all the graphics in the right place. To Oscars time. Yeah, if I can find this stuff. Thank you. We'll move that over to there. Yes, we are less than a week away from the Academy Awards, which means we probably should predict them. Otherwise, what is the point of the prediction game? Hello, I am Ashley, your introductory host, I don't know, whatever for this. Joining me as ever is AJ and Owen. And yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation where I feel some of it is very predictable this coming season, and then some of it is at least still up in the air, which I guess is a good thing to some extent. So it isn't just oh look that one low, look that one low, you know. I don't think there's any sort of. It's not a complete wipe of well that's winning, that's winning, that's winning. We have about I'd say half the categories where it's up in the air sort of still. I would say.
And then the others are like annoyingly down to the wire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just looking
I
at
guess
the.
I guess it's worth noting that for the past week or two, Oppenheimer has been pulverizing the Guild Awards, which I'm not mad at.
Yeah, that's been sort of crazy in itself. And then we have also had confirmation that Gosling and Ronson will be together performing I'm Just Ken. Unsurprisingly, Phineas with Billie Eilish, just like it was for No Time to Die a few years back. Becky G will be doing The Fire Inside from Flaming Hot, as she does on the film. John Baptiste will be performing It Never Went Away from American Symphony. And Scott George and the Osage Singers will be performing A Song for My People as well. So, and then in terms of trying to think in terms of which of these are the new names and which are the not new names. Oh, is it from that article? Thank you. We have some luck. So Dwayne the Dwayne is going to be there. Dwayne the Rock Johnson, whatever you want to call him. We also have Bad Bunny, Chris Hemsworth, Michael Keaton, Regina King, Jennifer Lawrence, Kate McKinnon, Rita Moreno, John Mulaney, Catherine O'Hara, Octavia Spencer, and Rami Youssef. And I'm guessing at some point in the next few days we'll get the final, because it's usually like they do it in 3 blocks and they reveal, you know, who it is. Sorry, I'm just looking at these stories that are still going on about that Willy Wonka immersive event thing. Dear Lord. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Especially over here, it'll be interesting to see how viewing figures goes, given that it's going to be on free to air for television for the first time in like 10 years. So whether it actually does well over here. Or, of course, if it doesn't, in which case, oops. I don't think there's nothing else. Yeah, nothing else confirmed. Although, oh no, there was another thing. Oh, Amelia de Molenberg, the person that does the chicken chop date thing on YouTube. Apparently, she is the social media ambassador for the ceremony.
I've
Okay.
been watching her interview videos, which have been quite fun.
So yeah, it's going to be weird that we're going to have only a half-hour pre-show. Uh, So the ceremony is gonna be roughly, tentatively, I think they're saying 7 till 10:30 Eastern, because they're gonna air an episode of Abbott Elementary immediately afterwards. Because they still want, a primetime show on after the Oscars. I guess they're hoping for it to have traction and whatever. Hopefully it's a strong episode. If viewers aren't watching but at that time, considering the viewership roughly has been in the sort of 2 to high 2 millions, if it doesn't get like a peak of like 3, it will show you that everybody tuned off very bloody quick from the Oscars, which wouldn't be great, but be interesting to see how that does. Whether an earlier ceremony time will mean more people actually bother watching. Who knows? Quickly to the chat. Spencer says you can't reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth. Unable to perceive the shape of you, I find you all around me. Your presence fills my eyes with your love. It tumbles my heart, for you are everywhere. And then we rip out so much of ourselves to be cured of things faster than we should. Then we go bankrupt by the age of 30 and have less to offer each time we start with something new. Or someone new. Which in that turn, Spencer's saying favourite movie quotes. He lists other ones as well, which I guess we'll get to. At the minute, mine is how are you doing surviving from Shaun of the Dead? In all senses of the words. Trying to think. Considering Owen's such an MST3K mark, it will probably be Mitchell.
No, there's an answer to this, and it's the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. I could just say 37 if I really wanted to, but throwing out a Moulin Rouge quote makes more sense.
I mean,
the speech from the girl next door. I love the speech from the girl next door.
I don't know that I have a definitive answer, but my go-to is I'm trying, Ringo. I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd. Which is one of the last lines of Pulp Fiction, if nobody's aware.
Yeah, the other
Dell's speech from Wayne's World 2. Of course.
The other couple is that Spencer mentions, remember kid, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid, and you'll never go wrong. And then the quote from Brenda saying, Chris, it's really scary in here. I saw 2 people shoot out a bald Chinese lady with no pants on, and there's a guy outside who wants his suspenders and slippers. Josie says, I've started the spring semester of the Nassau Community College acrylic painting class, so hope that all goes well for you, Josie. Currently reading Death with Interruptions by Jose Saramago, the author of The Double, which is the novel that Villeneuve's Enemy is based off of. New watches since last time: Phantom Treehouse, Journey Through Fairyland, Villeneuve's Polytechnique from 2009, and Neza Conquers the Dragon King. Josie also has her pairings for the Best Picture nominees. Bry's final predictions are on his channel. Parsnip saying hello. Rewatch Dr. Zeus the Butter Battle book short. Have any of you guys seen that? No. The Butter Battle book. Say that 5 times fast. Bryce says, I keep forgetting to ask. Ever watched the montage video? Yeah, it's up on sort of. it's probably going to get pushed public this week. Again, my situation has sort of straggled that along, but that'll go up.
It's up. It's just it's not being promoted yet.
Yeah, bear with me.
Okay. Alrighty. So that being said, we're gonna lock into that. Spencer says, "Love that short." Sorry. Josie asks, "Which 2023 movie character would you like to see stranded on an island with a magic conch from SpongeBob? I'd love to see Ruffalo and Poor Things try to beckon with it." Strauss with the magic conch would be interesting too. Now that I think about it, the Holdovers crew as well.
Yeah, I think I also want to go with Duncan Wedderburn just because I feel like he'd have the same amount of luck as Squidward did.
Don't think I can answer this question actually. Okay, how about Alan? Let's give Michael Cera some love. Parsnip says, "I have 0 F's to give and no feelings, but I predict based on brain and not heart. Most of the stuff I would never personally nominate, let alone predict to win as if it was just heart motivated." Yes, Parsnip, we did a 3-hour show on that, so I totally commend you on that statement. Josie's pairings American Fiction with Hollywood Shuffle, The Player and Putney Swope, Anatomy of a Fall with La Verite, Barbie with Raggedy Ann and Andy. Spencer said, "Great idea. I'm going to watch these pairs." Also, for the acting categories, they're going to do that extended presentation they did in 2009, where 5 previous winners presenting in the acting category, which they won. That means they're going to waste so much showtime.
I was going to say, that means we're definitely going past 10:30 then.
Holdovers would be with the Day Trippers and the Wonder Boys. Killers of the Flower Moon would be with Clear Cut and Finding Dawn. Past Lives with Conrad's Almost a Love Story and 3 Times. Parsnip never watched Abbott Elementary. I hate shows about school. I work in academia, which is why I wouldn't watch it for entertainment, although elementary might be worse than university.
That's somewhat fair.
I did an episode on Piecing It Together podcast on Poor Things where I connected it with Frankenhooker, Belladonna of Sadness, Blood Tea and Red String, David and Lisa. And looks like Anastasia is listed on that list as well, says Josie. Oppenheimer with a Butter Battle book, Trinity and Beyond, and Failsafe. AJ, have you seen that?
Which Trinity? Well, we mentioned Failsafe last time. I didn't hear any response from AJ on the Butter Battle book, but I'm not aware of Trinity and Beyond. Have you seen that one, AJ?
What is it?
The Butter Battle book?
It's the Butter Battle book is a Dr. Zeus thing.
Of course it is. That sounds logical.
I don't think so, no.
And then Trinity and Beyond from 1995.
No.
So Josie also says frequently she goes to Aaron Penn's channel, who unboxes movies. Said that Zone of Interest was paired with Polytechnique and The White Ribbon. The White Ribbon is so good, says Spencer. And Josie says it's a legit one of the scariest movies I've ever seen that isn't a horror movie.
Yeah, the White Ribbon cast really made a comeback this year.
The director of the Butter Battle book was Ralph Bakshi. And Josie asked, "What's your favorite cinema meal? Meals in cinema or meals you eat while watching cinema?" Spencer says Skittles and popcorn with a smiley face.
Yeah, popcorn and raisinets will probably be mine, I guess. I don't know if you call that I don't Paul Reiser it. I don't put them together, but
I'm frozen cookie dough bites, and depending on my mood, I have a mixture of Fanta Orange and Fanta Grape Zero, Sprite Lemonade Zero, and top it off with green apple icy. Or if I'm feeling normal, I'll just go with strawberry orange mellow yellow zero, or a mixture of Coke and Coke Zero.
I mean, I usually take my sort of own water in. Occasionally, I've had a hot dog at the one place, and then the other
Treat
one,
yourself.
because technically the coffee shop is also the coffee section of the cinema.
Mm.
Probably a hot chocolate and like a cheese toasty or something like that, which they, Starbucks style, put in the sort of toaster for a few minutes, and then you get a warm little toasty.
I like eating at the theater, but it's extremely expensive unless I have like some sort of a percentage off, like
Hmm.
points or dollars off when it comes to going to a lot of movies. But one of my jams is plant-based chicken nuggets, and I enjoy their curly fries as well. My favorite food is salmon patties, peas, and Kraft Velveeta shells and cheese, no matter what, says Parsnip Burger.
Nice.
I will eat literally nothing you just mentioned. And AJ knows that's a shoot. Can't wait to see some of your guys' thoughts on the shorts when we get to them. Brian, we have plenty of things to talk about in the shorts, and we might be one of the only videos that may actually discuss the shorts in depth.
Yeah, in case you
Which,
thought
which,
these predictions were going to be short, pun not intended, I guess. When we get to the shorts, that's when at least Owen will be giving his public descriptions on whether they're good or whether they are pachyderm.
Oh, don't remind me of Pachyderm, please. Good God.
That's the only thing I remembered from our conversation last week.
Literally, it's clear that the people that wrote this article did not see the same movie I did. We'll get there.
So yeah.
With all that, hopefully, we should get started, Stu.
No, chat's done. I went through all of it. We're good. Let's go.
Yeah, we're about 18, 20 in, so yes.
Thanks
Here
for
are our
everyone.
predictions for the 96th Academy Awards. That will feel like the 175th.
So we're gonna, as per tradition, we're gonna go in my order. So be prepared to jump around a little bit. We are starting at the bottom of Wikipedia though with visual effects.
Okay.
Where let's pray for my connection.
Oh boy.
We've got, for visual effects, we've got The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Mission Impossible, and Napoleon. Well, I imagine we're going the Ex Machina route, where it's the most of what you can do with the smallest amount to work with, which narrows it down to 2. So, and the whole idea of I guess you'd call it the quality budget ratio, which has me narrowing it down to The Creator and Godzilla. And this is really difficult because The Creator has been doing very well as far as like guild stuff and stuff like that. I think it might have gotten BAFTA also, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong.
I believe so.
But I don't believe it's really competed against Godzilla yet. So
special visual effects at BAFTA went to Poor Things. That's how.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Which isn't here, so.
But yeah, at the Guild's Creator was sort of like easily there and doing stuff, but that's mainly because Godzilla wasn't even acknowledged really by the Guild.
One time. Godzilla itself was nominated for Outstanding Animated Character in a Photoreal Feature for the Visual Effects Society. That's the only time you see Godzilla in the lineup.
And you might think that absence means that it's not in the running. But once you're on the ballot, that's different.
That's the foot in the door, yeah.
So the way I was looking at it, I took 2 things into account that made me make the choice that I did. logic, all logic says to go with the creator. But the thing the creator's getting really praised for is not just how good it looks, but the budget of the movie. How it looks like a 200 to 300 million dollar movie and it's like 80 million. It's like a fraction of the budget you would think it is. But Godzilla Minus One's budget is a fraction of what the creator's is.
Yeah.
So taking that into account, and something that I don't think they typically take into account with this, because shitty movies have won visual effects before, like The Golden Compass, or Dead Man's Chest, but those happen consecutively, by the way. The thing here is there's a lot of passion in general for Godzilla Minus One. And it's pretty much agreed upon that the creator's visual effects are the only good thing about it. So I can't help but wonder if that will play a part also. People just being generally passionate about Godzilla Minus One. So with that, on top of its very minuscule budget, I said Godzilla. So
Okay.
we'll see what happens.
I also have gone with Godzilla. I just like to. I mean, the fact that yet alone this is the first time Godzilla's got an Oscar nomination, which to some extent makes sense because obviously, if you look at some of the '70s ones, it's just that's a guy in a suit. But those first few stories were pretty good, and I've heard good things about everything pretty much. In the Reiwa era, as it's called, the last 4 or 5 films that they've done. Even if you take into account what they've allowed to happen in terms of, I guess, the Western Godzilla, or Zilla, or however they call him, from soon to be Godzilla versus Kong versus whatever it is. The new Empire that's coming out at the end of March. Godzilla's clearly becoming a important thing again, which is kind of refreshing in that respect. So just for the fact and also for the fact that they absolutely lost their shit at the nominations. Like, let's go. Yeah. It was like there was an earthquake, and like, oh no, life imitating art. So yeah, let's hope Godzilla Minus One gets its flowers, especially because we're back to this year having all the awards actually being on the show, not edited in.
All right. Well, I thought this would be easier, but I guess not, because you're throwing a curveball at me. That's fine. All right, we'll go there. So, in the past, sequels and the such haven't done well here. Guardians is this first time that it's been in the running. Mission Impossible, same way. Weirdly enough, the first thing that jumped out at me immediately was obviously a choice I'm not going to make, but the answer would be Napoleon. But I'd love to go with Godzilla as well. But if you look at the Visual Effects Society, which I know that's not guaranteed that it's going to be anything. It's not going to matter in the long run because this is the Oscars. It could be a completely different body that's voting for these, and obviously it is. But I look at the creator, and number one, immediately it's obviously a Star Wars knockoff, 100%. And that's what it's supposed to look like, and I get that. And visually, it is stunning. The movie is not great on the whole, but it looks incredible. I hate Napoleon, but Napoleon looks good too. And Godzilla Minus One tells me that I really hope that they get the idea that they could make Godzilla versus Kong in black and white, because I think Godzilla in black and white is a proven winner, and I'd much rather see it in black and white than color. I might be in the minority on this. I do not care. I'd love to go with Godzilla here, but I'm not going to. When you have something like The Creator out of nowhere, which defeats every single one of its competition in one way, shape, or form in the Society Awards for visual effects, there's something to it. And The Creator beat Oppenheimer. Granted, it's one category, but it still happened. So that tells me this is a juggernaut. And I could be proven wrong, and I might lose my first point right away, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going with The Creator here.
So that, I mean, that's really the logical choice when you look at everything else. But
I mean, I gotta try.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it, obviously, but I do want to throw a bit of a shout out to Napoleon's visual effects, because we kind of laughed at it when it happened, when it got nominated.
Mm-hmm.
When they showed that little clip at like BAFTA, that's like one of those movies where it's like, oh, I didn't even realize how much visual effects were in it. So that in itself is pretty impressive. So props to them for that.
And when Napoleon went for outstanding supporting visual effects in a photoreal feature, I love that title. You don't have to write that down. We do. None of its competition here competed against it. So Napoleon is untested when it comes to competing against its challengers here.
All right, sound.
Okay.
For sound, we have The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. I love that the headline for one of the guilds was basically Oppenheimer dominated, but Maestro got a little something too. I honestly would not put it past The Zone of Interest to pull a fast one here. Because, like, a lot of the movie's power, a lot of the movie's story, a lot of the movie period is devoted to sound. But I'm saying Oppenheimer. So, I'm playing it safe.
I probably would be more conflicted if this was sound editing and mixing split again. But I think in terms of general sound, I also am going with Oppenheimer.
I do agree with what AJ said about, as much as I'm not a major fan of the movie, and in 2 viewings, I'm not a major fan of the movie, but sound is an integral part of the Zone of Interest. And if there was ever an award that wasn't Best International Feature that it was destined to win, I would say a lot of smart money, obviously. When in doubt, pick Oppenheimer. It's like the old rule from like school. It's like, when in doubt, pick C. That was the old trivia rule back in the day. So when in doubt, pick Oppenheimer. This is an award Oppenheimer can lose, but it's not going to. Oppenheimer.
All right, let's go over to animated feature.
Oh, God. Okay. Your order is odd. Best animated feature.
I think this order on Wikipedia is very odd.
I wish we had a way to just do it in order so we know what the order is before, so everything's in order, and that would be great. But no, they can't do that yet, can they?
All right. We have The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Across the Spider-Verse. I haven't seen Robot Dreams yet.
Well,
but I feel like
it's not releasing for another month, I think. So
I feel like I have a controversial opinion here, though.
Wow.
Of the 4, this is just my personal opinion. This has nothing to do with what I'm picking. We've been down this road before. This is this is my. This is my personal opinion. This is not what I'm picking. I think Nimona is the best movie here. I'm just gonna say that. It's got tonal issues every now and then, but for my money, I would vote for it. I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm saying Across the Spider-Verse.
Probably Robot Dreams are probably up with Nimona, at least from what I've heard. I don't even know whether that's getting an international release, but yeah, it says a lot that the strongest picture that could be put forward by Disney is Elemental, and that was sort of okay. And I feel I sort of agree with you, AJ, in terms of Boy and the Heron is not peak Miyazaki, but it's still good. But yeah, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Even if they did lie about Beyond the Spider-Verse or whatever they're calling it, the third one, clearly not being ready to come out like a few months later. This isn't the Matrix.
So, I liked Elemental, and I'll defend that. I don't care. The thing is, Robot Dreams, I've seen lots of trailers for it lately. It's primed for a May release, but it's actually getting a one night only screening this coming weekend. I can't see it because it doesn't work out with my timing, but I'd love to go see it. It's coming out theatrically in May. It'll probably go wide in like July, and June or July, somewhere in that time frame. So I'm very excited about seeing it. It looks really fun. Don't know anything about Nimona. I have no way to see it, of course. Boy and the Heron, I was not a major fan of. It's fine for what it is. Spider-Verse, it's fine for what it is. But then again, we're not picking with, like Arsenberger said earlier, we're not picking with our hearts, we're picking with our heads. And I feel at this point, this isn't the award to give Miyazaki unless it's over. But I still think that I go with Lord and Miller here. So yeah, I'm going with Spider-Verse as well.
All right, you want to do a quick one?
All right, best of let's go.
Let's go ahead and do international since we all know it.
Okay.
Nadia Capitano, Perfect Day, Society of the Snow, The Teacher's Lounge, and The Zone of Interest. That's a strong lineup. I don't always love this lineup, but this is a really good lineup. But I mean, who's not saying The Zone of Interest? Anybody?
Just because it made it in the 10, you have to say it's more than likely going to win here, surely. If it doesn't, then that's going to be... So why did it make it in the 10 then?
I mean, I can't say anything about Io Capitano. I can't say anything about Society of the Snow, two movies that never came anywhere near me. Perfect Days is fine, and I love The Teacher's Lounge. I mean, in a just world, this would be the winner. But I mean, no, it's not a thing. Zone of Interest is a juggernaut that, again, like was previously mentioned, was in the 10, and it's there, so it's not going to lose international feature because I feel it, unless that one category runs through with sound, this is the only award it's winning tonight. So I'm going to go with it.
All right. Documentary feature.
Okay.
And this is another one you could probably say is as easy, but let's take a look.
Curveball.
We've got Bobby Wine, the People's President, The Eternal Memory, Four Daughters, To Kill a Tiger, and 20 Days of Mariupol. I suppose it's possible 20 Days of Mariupol could be too much, and they could go for something else. Like I can imagine people not finishing 20 Days of Mariupol. But that doesn't really seem to have been a problem in the past.
No.
The Academy seemed to have pretty strong stomachs. But if they were, because I know, Owen, you said something about being a little paranoid about 20 Days of Mariupol when it lost, was it PGA to American Symphony? Just to show that it had some, even though American Symphony is not here,
Yeah.
it showed that it can lose.
It's vulnerable in one way, shape, or form. Not very much, but it's still vulnerable because it's lost before.
Yeah, which I would say, if you wanted to think that way, that would narrow it down maybe to Bobby Wine, which I hear is also pretty intense, but not to the degree of 20 Days of Mariupol, and Four Daughters, maybe?
That sounds about right.
I don't know if it's just the Spirit Award win putting that in my head, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with 20 Days of Mariupol just to play it safe. But it honestly wouldn't surprise me if a lot of voters wanted to deviate somewhere else.
I could actually see Eternal Memory just like getting this from out of nowhere. Mainly because then it will be like on the BBC and like people can watch it. It will get loads of acclaim, possibly. Just like Navalny did a year or so back. So I'm still sticking with 20 Days in Mariupol because I feel it's the only sort of one that's really doing the sort of war aspect this year. I mean, Oppenheimer's obviously war, but it's not to the same extent of like showing proper sort of like graphic sort of depictions of it. And if that's the only time it's going to get political, so be it.
Yeah, Four Daughters was the one that jumped out at me immediately when I looked at the lineup, but 20 Days in Mariupol just seems to be unstoppable. That being said, when it comes to documentary especially, there's always surprises. It happens every year. There's always one that everybody thinks is going to do well, doesn't even get in the Oscar lineup, and there's one that everybody thinks is going guaranteed to win that doesn't. I don't think that's this year. I think we're going to be more safe this year, and I feel that 20 Days in Mariupol is going to continue.
What I would like to know is who would be winning if Still was here, and they were against each other.
I can't see the Academy going against Michael J. Fox if it was a nominated documentary. Honestly, I really can't.
Because it's like we said before, when you're on the ballot, it's a different story.
Sure.
Need I remind everybody of the Peter Scolari thing at the Emmys? Anybody remember that? Where they listed the nominees for like guest actor, and Peter McNichol was there for Veep. And then they realized that because of a technicality with screen time, they had to rescind Peter McNichol's nomination, and they gave his nomination to the next in line, which was Peter Scolari, and Peter Scolari won. So when you're on the ballot, it's a different story than when you're not. So.
Sure.
All right, it's time for the shorts.
Cool. All right.
I think we're going to just transition into documentary short first.
Okay.
Where we have the ABCs of Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nai and Waipo, I think is how you say it.
That is a correct statement.
So I saw 3 of these. Owen saw all of these.
Yes, I have. It's the hardest one to see because theaters don't show the documentary one. You have to like seek that one out.
Well, I will say, of the 3, The Barber of Little Rock is very charming because, like I was telling Owen, it's basically about the George Bailey of Little Rock.
Yeah.
So there's that. I didn't really get invested in Island in Between.
Thankfully, I'm not the only one that says that. Thank you.
Yeah, like I know why it's meaningful to the filmmaker, but I just wasn't really there. The last repair shop was by far my favorite of the three that I saw. It's basically like I was telling you, it's basically like an anthology of documentary shorts in one. um, and they're all great, and the way they connect music into it and everything, it's all great. The thing here is that I did something in my predictions that is usually a kiss of death. I wrote one down, I marked it out, and I put another one.
Oh no.
I really tried to go under. If I wrote it down the first time, there's a reason, because that has backfired before. But as soon as I wrote one down blind, I wrote the ABCs of book banning initially.
Okay.
Because it just kind of seemed like on nominations day, it seemed like the one. So I just put it without much thought. And then when I was watching them, and it's tricky since the ABCs of book banning is one that I didn't see. That's when it gets kind of tricky. But there was just so much appeal behind it and so much like content in it. I could see things leaning towards the last repair shop. So I crossed out the ABCs of book banning and I went with the last repair shop instead. Based on, I guess, my own emotions, which, like I said, are unreliable since I didn't see the ABCs of book banning, but it just felt like when I put the ABCs of book banning, just something about it didn't feel right after I put it. I felt good enough about it to write it, and as soon as I wrote it, I felt wrong. And when I changed it to the last repair shop, that went away. So, whatever the fuck any of that means. That's what I did. So the shorts are a guessing game. There's no precedent. There's no strategy. You just have to guess. So that's what I did. Kind of.
I also am going with Last Repair Shop. I haven't seen any of these, but it's just sort of the charm of it being sort of musical, which I guess makes sense because one of the co-directors is Chris Bowers, who's did like the score for Color Purple and all that. The fact that and having seen like there's legit a show over here called The Repair Shop, and they have various instruments have been done over the years, be it drums, be it guitars, sitars, tubas, trumpets, all sorts of things. And the fact that obviously the story behind it, I'd like that to sort of be championed. Also, it's Los Angeles, so it's local as hell to them. So regional bias.
All right.
And this is where Owen gets to go through the 5.
We started off with Nine Eye and WIPO. I get where it's supposed to be like heartwarming and everything. I was annoyed by it. I wasn't a fan at all. It's easy to no, Island in Between's the weakest one for sure, at least in my mind. I don't like either one of those, so we'll knock those out immediately. A tad bit of bias towards the Barber of Little Rock. It's a long one, it really is. It's got a good story to it, and everything seems credible. And the George Bailey reference is just priceless. AJ just knocks it out of the park with that one because it's very much the truth. We get down to the 2 that it's between, and it's 2 of the ones I like the most. The Last Repair Shop is fantastic. Like telling the story of these musical instruments that they're basically fixing up for people that don't have access to musical instruments whatsoever. And they're like going through the various different types of musical instruments and how the people that are playing these instruments, how it becomes a part of them. obviously I'm a very musical guy anyway. At the end of the day, I really enjoyed the way this went, and it was the perfect way to finish the shorts because it was the last one that they showed. The ABC The Book banning is great. I will say that it's very topical at this point. It's really crazy to think of how many books are like restricted or banned, and the reactions that these children have to why these books are banned, and they just don't really understand why. It's just so like heartbreaking, honestly. And I feel like the ABCs of book banning might be too safe, but I was thinking that about The Last Repair Shop too, and I was like, I really like The Last Repair Shop a lot, and it's a great end too. It's like the way they did the order it's a great end. So it keeps building and building and building, and like every year it seems like it's doom and gloom for the short categories. And trust me, this year it's coming. Don't worry, we'll talk about it in a minute. But documentary short is not that way this year. A lot of them are very uplifting stories, and they're stories that are not as outrageous as they have been in the previous years. It's a solid list too. But as much as I want to go with the ABCs of book banning, I have to concur with the panel and adhere to the fact that I have seen The Last Repair Shop. I very much enjoy The Last Repair Shop, and I feel like it'd be a very good win and a very much deserved one. But if it happens, I said it, and maybe I'll regret it, but The Last Repair Shop's my answer as well.
You're talking about it being uplifting. The violin guy's story.
Oh,
The way that story escalates is insane.
I love it. So many great story, like the storytelling in The Last Repair Shop is just spot on.
And what's really funny is the real life person that's basically kind of a hero in that violin story was the villain of a Best Picture nominee last year.
That's exactly right.
Are we ready for live action short?
Yeah.
All right. We have The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. I saw all of these except Red, White, and Blue. I could have seen Red, White, and Blue, but they took it off YouTube, and they're not going to put it back until after the Oscar ceremony for some reason. So, close. I saw the link, and I was like, maybe I should. I don't know. It was before it was nominated. I think it was even before it was shortlisted. And I was like, maybe I should watch that. I'll get to that at some point. So, I have seen the other four, though. And I thought Invincible was really impressive. And it's like just basically the way it tells the story visually is really a strength. The After is blindsiding, to say the least.
That's an understatement.
Night of Fortune was surprisingly poignant. I wasn't sure where the hell it was going, and I think that's what I liked about it once I knew where it was going, was when you backtrack and you realize, like, all the places where you're like, what the hell is going on? And it's like, oh my god, it all makes sense. It's basically like the guy in the bathroom stall is basically like if Del Griffith didn't have his jovial personality, basically. And Henry Sugar. Obviously, Henry Sugar is really fun. It's like pure Wes Anderson. But I've heard about the possibility of there being resentment in this is all hearsay, by the way. Don't take any of this as gospel.
Possibility, you're fine.
This is true.
There might be some resentment in the short branches towards big famous directors, because this is typically a jumping off point for people who are unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And when big directors kind of come in here and take the spotlight, those people don't get that jumping off point. So I don't know if that would hurt Wes Anderson. I mean, it would be Wes Anderson finally getting an Oscar, but like we've been saying, the Academy seems to have really cooled on Wes Anderson. So I don't know if this is the guarantee it might feel like because he's Wes Anderson. And secondly, the structure of it being the story within the story within the story is basically the same thing he did as the prologue for Grand Budapest. So it kind of felt like it's something we'd seen him do before. So I don't know. Your instinct is to just immediately say Wes Anderson because he's the big name here, but yeah, just in general, the Short Branch doesn't seem sentimental about big names. So, I mean, yeah, occasionally like Riz Ahmed will win or something like that, but it's not very common. So I decided to deviate away from Wes Anderson after a lot of thought. And that's when it occurred to me, it could also be Red, White, and Blue because it would be my luck that the one movie I missed is the one that wins, which I would have predicted it just based on that, quite honestly. And the fact that it's apparently pretty powerful too, but and that's when the really annoying thought occurred to me, especially after I'd watched them, was that it could be any of these 5. It's just, I feel like they all practically have an equal chance. Even 4 of them against Wes Anderson, they all feel like they pretty much have an equal chance to get this.
Yeah.
So I just had to pick one. It's basically, it comes down to who can you imagine a presenter saying when they open the envelope. Like, who's the easiest to imagine? And also, they don't always seem that sentimental either towards ones that star famous people. Because Red, White, and Blue has Brittany Snow, The After has David Oyelowo, and Henry Sugar has name somebody. Ray Fiennes, Cumberbatch, Dev Patel, Ben Kingsley. I landed on The After is the one I'm gonna go with. Like I said, the way that one just sort of, it blindsides you before they even show the title. And we're talking about a short film. It blindsides you before they show the title, and the movie is like 16 minutes long anyway. And then when you realize you might not realize exactly where it's going. And it might almost be underwhelming when we get there. But I don't know, once it reached the ending, it was like, this makes sense. And when it ended, it was like, yeah, it makes sense that that's where we end. So, like I said, though, they all have an equal chance, I think. So, just guess.
There's a lot of very good stuff in here. Just because I feel that it's going to be a good night for Britain, I will be going with Red, White, and Blue. And then, I guess, proving why it should have been in the list for BAFTA stuff. Although I guess technically because of it being an American production, even though she, it says a lot that she's been on co-exec producer on Fear the Walking Dead the last few years. I'd like to see her, do some more stuff behind the camera if she's giving us stories that are as big as Red, White, and Blue. Because I feel that, considering what's happened in the past week or two with that, depending on voting, the abortion issue and everything, Might be another political stunt that they might want to make on. Which I guess means technically Samantha Bee's winning an Oscar.
I can honestly say that all 5 are worthy winners. And I could honestly say I like all 5 overall. Invincible feels like, well, just the vibe for Invincible for me feels very Larry Clark, very Harmony Korine. I get that vibe like immediately. For me, that's not a bad thing.
With
people,
less debauchery.
Huh?
With less debauchery.
Yeah, way less debauchery. The After is a literal gut punch that you're not ready for, and has a conclusion you're also not ready for as well. Red, White, and Blue is, ooh, it's brutal. It really is, because once you get the reveal of what is going on, first off, you don't realize that's what's happening at all. But once you get that actual reveal, you know what's happening. At least you think you do. But when it actually reveals itself and you are totally wrong, it just, another like literal gut punch. And Brittany Snow's amazing in it too. And again, don't want to counteract David Oyelowo either, because like The After is amazing. Night of Fortune is fantastic. It kind of, the best way to describe it for long-time viewers of the short category in general, it's kind of like a live-action version of This Way Up from several years back, mixed with I recall the wonderful short we had, I believe it was last year, for the karaoke song for Always on My Mind. I think a mixture of that is a really good comparison, and it's really funny too. And I mean, I love Henry Sugar so much. Obviously, I am a Wes Anderson mark, and I'm very proud of it. Richard Ayoade in this, his timing here with Dev Patel. Dev Patel just talking to the camera is just great.
I think Dev Patel was my MVP of the cast.
Dev Patel was the MVP of the cast, especially after seeing all these trailers for Monkey Man lately. It's nice to see Dev Patel back to how I used to remember Dev Patel. But not like I'm not ready to watch him kick ass for like 2 hours, but it's gonna be super fun. But at the end of the day, especially because he wrote it. But the thing about it is that going against Wes Anderson seems to be like the smart money here. But as was once said in a very famous scene in a baseball movie, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna go with The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar here. It's laugh out loud funny. Yeah, we've gone to this well many times, but it works. And I had a theater packed full of people that were laughing hysterically at everything that was being said. And I have no problems at all with any of these 5 winning. I can't say that about any other category when it comes to the shorts. But I will say right now that I'm not going to go safe this time around. I'm going to go with Wes Anderson.
Depending on who you ask, Wes Anderson is either the safe choice or the unsafe choice.
It depends on how well you follow the races throughout the years if you think that the safe choice is the name. Because 9 times out of 10, it's not. It's like voting for Disney in animated short. Speaking of which,
yep, we have one more short category.
The most brutal of the lineup.
Yeah, we have Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform. Pashy Dam, I think, is how Jack Quaid said it. And then War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko. I only saw 2 of these. Usually these are the easiest ones to get a hold of. This year they were the hardest.
You haven't had access to them.
Well,
You're able to travel.
Well, here's the thing. Pashy Dam, if that's how we're saying it.
Oh.
I trust Jack. I feel like they prep the presenters on nominations morning about pronunciations, because they usually all get it right. So that one's obviously heavy and dark and disturbing, but it's also one where it's like there was a lot that you get what's going on, but as far as like the animation itself, I had to read into the director talking about it, where she talked about how like there's no visible sky, or the sky's always obstructed and stuff like that, or how the main character's always seen as like fragmented, like we hardly ever see her like in her full form. There's a lot of that going on that tells that story really well. And then I saw Letter to a Pig, which is a movie that's just standing on the hilltop screaming symbolism at the top of its lungs.
That's an accurate.
And I don't want to hate on the movie or the style or anything, because obviously it's super creative. But I did just kind of get the vibe that its devotion to doing different kinds of animation all at once kind of just was distracting from the story.
Sure.
It was like, I hate the phrase style over substance, but I mean, that's, if you want to attribute it to something, that's what comes to mind for this one. It's a whole lot of, yeah. It felt very pleased with its own styles of animation, and the story became very secondary, despite the fact that it's screaming symbolism in your face the whole time. I didn't quite take to this one, if you can't tell. So I don't really have much to go on. I was gonna say Passion Damon the same way I was gonna say ABC's a book burning, where it's like it just kind of seemed like the standout one when nominations were announced. Like it was the one that kind of had the most attention, or like I don't know what. But then I just like at the last minute I randomly pivoted to War is Over. That was another one of those ones where it's like, what can I just imagine winning? What can I imagine a presenter saying? That's the best I can do. Because once again, I guess it's pretty much like live action, where it could be any one.
Yeah.
Because it's the short category. Like there's no strategy to be had.
No.
So there it is.
Oh no.
This hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, no. It's Chad, how long's it been? It's been months. Exactly. Telling us the winning lotto numbers. It's okay. Yep.
I got nothing, do you?
Beard, face, chest, and sound.
Okay. Why is it doing
Yeah,
it on
certainly.
the
Maybe it's just on my end.
I understood it. It was being that.
There we go.
I thought, great.
Yep.
We've got that glitch back on a different computer. Don't worry, the sound didn't go there. I just wanted to rant without like. So yeah. The only reason I was reacting like that, AJ, is what's the full title of the film you just selected?
War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko.
And what was the word you kept saying all the time? Imagine.
Nice. Good, Ashley.
It was like, oh no, he's breaking me. It's gonna be. It's like that bit from bloody Fist of the North Star when my head is beginning to bulge and it's just gonna like.
completely unintentional.
I could tell. I want to say that just because I am a sort of mainly Lennon, although some of Yoko's stuff is pretty good as well. Stress the word some. But I just feel that's too safe because, like, oh, it's the one that won the Annie Award, but then nothing else in this category was up against it at the Annies. Not even in the other short categories. So, if all else fails, vote for Pedro.
Okay.
Yeah, I am going for 95 senses because just to have the guys from Nacho Libre and Napoleon Dynamite going on the stage accepting this award. That's kind of going to be hilarious. So. Plus, it's from what I've heard, it's pretty cute in itself.
We'll get there.
I appreciate. Obviously, we've had in previous years, maybe not symbolism, but what was the one from a few years back? The animated one. Just Because I Love You or something like that, wasn't it?
The one about the school shooting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If Anything Happens, I Love You. That one. I feel like, because even The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse from last year, although it sort of like symbolizes being sort of friendly and light-hearted, that is deep as all hell. So I'd like something like, if we're going on the trend of having serious thing and then something less serious but also like pretty good, I feel that this year's windshield wiper, sorry, probably could be 95 senses.
All right. I'm the same way with AJ about Letter to a Pig. It's impactful, but it's pretty much too up its own self. So no. Our uniform is cute. Honestly, I like the concept. So basically, the story's being told with like pieces of the uniform. So it's being shown to the whole time. So you're seeing these girls on the uniform while the actual story is taking place. It's a really well shot, because it looks like something that was an actual movie. It doesn't look animated. It looks animated, but it also looks like something that could be like shot as an actual movie. The reason I would say pachyderm is the fact that the shoot gimmick of the actual thing itself is an elephant statue that is alluded to at the very end. That's the reason, that might be part of the reason why it's called that. It's real heavy. Yeah, it's extremely hopeless. And it's not for everyone, but it seems like the type of subject matter that the Academy can go for. But I don't think that's this year either. So we're down to the last two, which would be 95 Senses. Really interesting story. Tim Blake Nelson is basically a guy who accidentally sets a building on fire as a joke, and technically speaking ends up killing the family, so he goes to prison for it. And we're basically celebrating the 95 senses of not the 5 senses, but the 95 other senses that he's experiencing as he's preparing to go to death row. He's preparing for his last meal. It's really well done too, honestly.
You said that. You said about the building, and I thought, yeah, that sounds like a Tim Blake Nelson character. And then you proceeded to describe the exact character, Edward Delacroix from The Green Mile. That's which I just revisited, which makes it even weirder.
Done in the style of, obviously, Jerusha and Jared Hess for Napoleon Dynamite, like Ashley talked about. I really enjoyed it, and it's a deserving winner, 100%. But, honestly, sometimes you just gotta get away from the doom and gloom. You gotta get something a little more uplifting, and that's the reason I settled just like AJ did with War is Over. It's a cute little story. Basically, they're two guys on different sides of the war that are playing chess through a carrier pigeon. And they're sending the moves back and forth with the carrier pigeon. And of course, not to blow the spot, but obviously it's literally in the title. The last thing that happens is something happens, which I'm not going to give it away, but literally the song War is Over is the credit music, and it deserves to be. And it's like everything that happens, we're building and building and building, and all of a sudden, one last message is set by the carrier pigeon, and it simply says War is Over. And it's just like, it was really well done. And made you cry happy tears. I liked it. It was cute. The animation style is cute, and I feel that it deserves to win. And if 95 Cents doesn't, I feel that I'm going to put my money on War is Over here.
Oh, I now know.
I feel a little bit with that and the
crucial
animal.
mistake.
I gotta say with
I've just seen that all the VFX was done by Peter Jackson. Ah, shit.
You can tell.
Between that and the Annie thing, which I wasn't aware of, I feel really good about that random guess now.
Yeah.
So
you should. It's a correct answer for sure.
It is weird, but like at the Annies, hang on, because of all the other stuff I've got to put in the notes, I never actually made a note of the others. But at the Annies, yeah, it was listed as best animated short subject, but one of them was Daffy and Wacky Land. So, but yeah, nothing else that was in the list made it in the Oscars lineup. So it's always risky for that, because I always find it confusing, like whether when we actually get to the final ceremony, it's still people from the animated guild. Oh wait, no, it isn't, is it? The shorts are just done but randomly, aren't they? It's only now that they're establishing that animated short film will now get paired up with feature film and be part of the animated guild stuff. I think they made that ruling, which I thought was like weird. Why didn't they do that in the first place? But yeah.
So to get away from it, because we're not going to talk about it again. When I saw the animated shorts, Wild Summon was tacked on as well, so I got to see it as well. That might have been part of the reason why I went for it, because it's so bad insane. If you've not seen it, yeah, it sticks with you. And there was another one, I believe it was called I'm Hip, I think, like that. It was not in consideration, but it was something they tacked on at the end so they could like pad the runtime, I guess. Which kind of reminded me of like something that Sunny Eclipse would do at like Cosmic Ray Starlight Cafe at Magic Kingdom, but I just went over everybody's head when I said that, and I'm fine with that. Let's go.
all right, are we ready for some music categories?
Oh, yeah. It looks like we're going to be saying the same thing for a lot of these categories.
Yeah, let's start with song.
Okay.
We got The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot, I'm Just Ken from Barbie, It Never Went Away from American Symphony, WGA A Song for My People from Kills of the Flower Moon, and What Was I Made For from Barbie. I have a confession to make.
Oh.
When we had our whole Oscar nominations discussion video after the nominees came out, I was not aware of what Wajaji was. I was like, it was a 3.5 hour movie. There was probably some song in there somewhere that I don't remember. I did not realize it's the final scene of the movie.
It is.
That scene. And if I had known that in the moment, I would have talked about how inspired of a nomination that is. I kind of love that nomination. And I don't if I had even known what that was, I don't think there's any way I would have predicted it.
No.
like even knowing what it was. But I love that. I just want to throw that out there. Um, so really early in the season, I had said it was probably around the time they won the Globe. I had said, so Billie Eilish and Phineas are the ones to beat, right? And then we went into the whole thing of how fucking insane is that going to be when they're like in their early 20s or mid 20s and they're going to be 2-time Oscar winners already.
Exactly.
And we just stuck with that the whole season. It's like that. Okay, that's pretty much that's going to be Barbie's win of the night. Maybe. But then I was watching American Symphony recently, and I've made it known over the past few years how much I love Jean Baptiste. And as I'm watching American Symphony and I'm waiting for this song to show up, I'm thinking, I wonder if, regardless of who wins this, it's going to be somebody who's won before. If it's not Billie Eilish, I think it's going to be him. I'm watching the movie, and we're seeing how much of a musical genius he is, of course. And, of course, his wife's illness with leukemia. And there's so much power in these scenes as they go. The back and forth, the way they blend him creating this symphony with her being in the hospital and taking care of her is so beautifully and seamlessly done. And I was thinking, when this fucking song shows up, with all this context, it's going to be powerful as shit. And it's like, how have we not been talking about the fact that he could also win again?
Yeah.
Well, it's the end credits song. And with all that build-up, it's a little underwhelming. So, as American Symphony ended and I was letting the credits where I was like, I'm going to stick with Billie Eilish, I think. So,
Okay.
it's like with all, I mean, it's a nice song for sure, but I was expecting more with how powerful the whole movie is and how much of a genius he is. But it's a pretty just kind of there song. So, and it went, I was afraid as we were getting to, I thought it was going to be like some big climax to his symphony. And it's like, oh no, it's just the fucking end credits song. Again. So yeah, I'm sticking with What Was I Made For, which was basically my choice from the beginning. But I almost got sidetracked while watching American Symphony, but I came right back. So.
Okay.
Diane motherfucking Warren, is it winning? Yeah. I am also going with What Was I Made For from Barbie. Although, if a song from My People does get in, I will be very pleasantly surprised. In which could be it one of its only wins, possibly, depending how things go.
It could potentially be, well, I don't want to say potentially be at this point. It would be the second win for the night, potentially. I guess we'll throw that out there. Never doubt Diane Warren getting nominated, but not necessarily winning. I'm sure Ryan Gosling's going to knock it out of the park like he always does, but it's not the movie from the song from Barbie to bet on. I was today years old when I realized that American Symphony was Dan Wilson. Didn't realize that. I'm a Semisonic fan, so yeah, Dan Wilson, Closing Time, very famous song. Obviously, call it a one-hit wonder if you want. Semisonic's fantastic. Just check that out. And he teamed with John Batiste to help write the song. At the end of the day, there's really no reason to go against Billy and Phineas here, and I'm not going to. So, watch me being proven wrong was fine, and I'm very curious to see how the performance is going to work on the Oscar stage. The song works in and out of context of the movie, and yeah, I mentioned before, Sean Fay Wolf said it best, and I concur. Billy and Phineas could be the next Lennon and McCartney if everything allows for it, and I feel that it's very possible. So yeah, What Was I Made For?
All right. And score, we have American Fiction, The Dial of Destiny for some reason, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. So we have 3 very strong inclusions here with Fendrix, Robertson, and Goranson. And I would say it's between the 3, but Goranson's had a really good and consistent run so far. And Oppenheimer is obviously going to be the darling of the night for good reason, and the score is so much a part of the movie's power as a whole. I have no problems or complaints whatsoever assuming Goranson's going to take this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I am also sticking with Goranson for Oppenheimer. Although if Poor Things does it, I kind of wouldn't be surprised, because I don't know whether the Academy wants to go too obvious. Then again, it's the Academy; they always like to go too obvious.
Robertson getting this would be great. And if you're gonna give something to John Williams, I don't think Dial of Destiny is the correct answer. So I'd say you take that out of the running immediately. I'm very happy to say if we were to go back to the prediction game when I pulled Laura Cartman out of my ass somehow, some way, and it worked, which is fantastic. But American Fiction will be just fine on the night. We'll get there in a little bit. It goes down to Fendrix and Goranson. In another year that wasn't such of a juggernaut for Oppenheimer, I think Jerkson would be in this. But no, again, like I always say, when in doubt, pick Oppenheimer. And I feel like in this case, it's probably one of the bigger certainties of the night. Goranson wins this.
It's really funny. I rewatched American Fiction recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really trying to listen for the score to see what stood out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of scenes where it does. It is funny that one of the scenes where it like really stands out and goes big is during a joke scene during the ending.
Yeah.
But what's really funny is I think my favorite moment involving the score involves, I guess you'd call it a lack of score, interestingly enough. This was the first time, because I was really listening for the score, this is the first time I noticed that in the key scene, when he's on the phone with Michael C. Walker-Ayton, the score is going, and then if you don't know the context, it's a very crucial moment where Jeffrey Wright just says, fuck. When he says fuck, the score just stops.
Yes, it does. And that's the reaction of the crowd when I was watching it the second time in the PAC theater.
I think that's like, it's weird to say this, but I think my favorite part of the score is that moment where the score just stops abruptly. So it's not just the score itself, it's about the choices you make with that score and the context, so still plays a part. Alright, so the music categories were easy enough.
Yep.
These next 3 are a bitch.
Split in half.
Alright, let's do makeup. Okay. So a trend that you're gonna see over these next at least 3 is getting it narrowed down to 2, and how much of a fucking headache that can be.
Yes.
Because if you've got 3 options, I think when you have 3 options, it's almost like it's a little more out of your control, so it's easier to just say, I'll go with this one and see what happens. But when you know you have it down to 2, and if it's not one, it's the other, and having to make that choice is such a fucking headache when you're really trying to be accurate. Obviously, there's no stakes here, but I mean, if you really want to be accurate, though,
Yes.
it fucking sucks, and it's annoying as shit.
Yes.
So, with that in mind, for makeup, for where the fuck is it? Oh my god, there it is. For makeup, we have Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow. Obviously, anybody paying attention has probably narrowed it down to Maestro and Poor Things. And what's interesting about this is if you watch the videos that the Oscar YouTube page was putting out, where they were showing the bake-offs and they were highlighting what the artists did in these particular categories. What I really liked that those videos did was they didn't show the obvious things. Like, you could say Old Cooper in Maestro, or you can say Defoe's face in Poor Things.
Mm-hmm.
For Poor Things, they highlighted the fact that Bella's hair is constantly growing, which they established at the beginning of the movie. So when you watch the movie throughout, Emma Stone's hair is constantly getting longer. And that was the focus of that. Because once again, you tend to forget the hairstyling part of the category.
That's why I keep saying every year they need to be split.
With Maestro, it wasn't just Old Cooper, but there's a particular detail in his makeup that I hadn't even considered was happening, which was, everybody talked about the nose. They talked about the nose for fucking months, even before the movie came out. But what people don't seem to realize about the nose, apparently, which I didn't know till this video, was it's altering the way he speaks. That, like, nasally way of talking that he has, you think is Cooper just doing, like, an inflection for the character. He's literally... It was to make him talk that way. They designed the nose to where he would just talk that way when he spoke. Which is insane. That you can map that out and do something that precise to alter the whole performance without Cooper having to add that himself. The makeup is doing it. That's crazy. And even before I knew that, I was leaning Maestro. Because the makeup for Old Cooper, even though it's only in the movie for like 5 minutes, 2 quick scenes. It's one at the beginning, and then one scene kind of bleeds into another scene, and then the epilogue. But it's like a combined probably 5 minutes. But it's unreal. He looks like an old person. It does not look like an actor in makeup. I know some people will probably disagree, but I think it's nearly flawless. And it's just... I can't imagine not at least guessing Maestro wins. But obviously, Poor Things is the other choice that could very easily take it instead, where it's a one or the other scenario. But I'm going to say Maestro. And it taking the guild kind of helped me too.
Just because I feel for the number of prosthetics and things like that need to be done compared to Maestro's, I'm going to go with Poor Things. Plus, maybe that's why they're doing that video, like highlighting the hair, because it's like, it's not just about Willem Dafoe. Come on, guys. So yeah, I will stick with Poor Things.
And apparently also Lanthimos had a very strict no wigs rule. So that's like all work.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's down to 2, and it's always been down to 2. Now, the funny thing is that I was not really thinking about the juggernaut that is Oppenheimer in this lineup. Which this is one award that Oppenheimer's not going to win. I think that's pretty.
It is impressive how everybody's subtly aging.
Yeah.
But it's not in the conversation.
No, it's not in the conversation. It's down to a movie that I've enjoyed since I saw it for the first time, and a movie that is extremely fresh on my mind that I saw a couple days ago. Both deserved. We'll get there. Don't worry. It's weird to think that of the 10, there's got to be somebody that may go home empty-handed, and it's not the correct answer, obviously. But we'll get there when we get there. But, honestly, after watching it and being fresh in my mind, and as much as I love Poor Things and I know that it's very possible, Maestro does so much more with it. Overall. Like, there's more to it in Poor Things. Like, there's more, versions of it. Yeah, but I think Maestro makes better usage of it. And the fact that it basically swept the Makeup Guild where there's no other competition at all that won anything else. Like, there's nobody else in makeup and hairstyling was in the guilds. Because the only real competition would have been Barbie, and they didn't go that route. So, yeah, this is Maestro.
Oh, right. Well, Poor Things is still fighting another movie, but it's not Maestro this time.
Yes.
All right, let's do costumes.
Okay.
We've got Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. As I was saying at the very beginning, production design and costume design are going to be Poor Things versus Barbie to the very end.
Yes.
And that is still the case, I believe. So, this was costumes especially, because I made a choice in production design that I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going with this. Costumes took me for fucking ever to come to a decision. Because there's pros. Here's the thing. There's pros for both of them out the asshole. If we were to do cons, the only thing that really has something maybe possibly going against it, I feel like, is Barbie. Because Barbie is more, and we've talked about this before with real life characters and real life, outfits that we know from history. How much is it taken into account when it's not an original costume, when you're adapting it for the cast? Because most of the costumes in Barbie are just adaptations of what Barbie dolls have worn that actually exists. You're just making them human-sized. Is what a lot of the costumes in Barbie are. Every now and then there's an original one. There was something I heard where there's a costume that's kind of original, but it's still based something a past Barbie doll had worn. I think one of the only original costumes is Ken's jumpsuit that has all the Barbie bees on it, just because that was Ryan Gosling's idea.
Mm-hmm.
Was for Ken to wear something like that. And then there's the stuff that they wear in, the real world, like the rollerblades and all that.
Sure.
Which I can't remember if that came from somewhere already existing or not.
Barbie rollerblades for sure.
Yeah, and obviously Ken's big coat is just an old Stallone coat. So, but there was so much praise around Barbie. That was one of the big things of praise Barbie got was, holy shit, the costumes really bring the whole movie to life in a way. Weird Barbie's costume might be original in certain places. It's like a mixture of things. Poor Things is all original, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at some of those designs, I feel like this is really down to the wire, and it could equally be either way. It's literally 50-50 on which one it could be. But because Poor Things is kind of starting from the ground up, that's what I said. And so the question also was, there's been a lot of talk this season about splitting and if it's going to happen or not. Like we were talking about Cillian Murphy and Paul Giamatti. It's like, will one get SAG and will one get BAFTA? And we saw how that went. My question the whole time was, are Barbie and Poor Things splitting production design and costumes, or is one getting both? Is what I really had to decide. So, but yeah, for costumes, I landed on Poor Things after excruciating debate. What we do is very silly. Can I point that out? It's like I gave myself a headache thinking about Poor Things and Barbie's costumes for fucking 2 hours.
I had to do something in my office today.
I kind of find it fascinating that we have, the sci-fi fantasy entry as Barbie, and the period piece that is Poor Things make it in. And yet Saltburn didn't even make it in, despite kind of like being a big thing in the guilds for contemporary costume and specific costumes as well. So I'm surprised it didn't make it in. So obviously that sort of leaves it up in the air as, do I go with quality or do I go with quantity? I'll go with Barbie. Because, mild spoilers, it's the only thing I think I've got Barbie down for.
So
Did you not say it for song?
Oh wait, I forgot about that. I just think of Billie Eilish. I don't think of the film. I just think, what's the best song? It's like, when it's the Grammys, it's Billie Eilish that accepts it, not Greta Gerwig.
speaking of Greta, yeah, this has been like a fight to the death for Poor Things and Barbie. The last time Jacqueline Duran worked with Greta was Little Women, and that was a win. AJ talking about a split. I don't want to give my hand away, but maybe. I guess we'll see. Because we're not very far away from that category. It's probably next. But for costumes, the sheer ramifications of how many people had to have costumes for the movie, and they had to be so unique, and they had to fit the real world and Barbie world at the same time, and including my friend Ashley as well. Shout out. The thing is, at the end of the day, I can't go against Barbie here. I love Poor Things. Don't get me wrong. Everybody knows it. Poor Things one of my favorite movies of the year. Barbie one of my favorite movies of the year. Barbie did not make my list, and Poor Things did. But yeah, when it comes to costumes, I gotta go with the X Factor, and that's the fact that Barbie's won a ton, and I feel that this might be the only award that the movie itself can win without any other merit. Potentially.
All right. That brings us, obviously,
Yes.
to production design.
Yes.
Which gives us Barbie, Kills of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Again, an excruciating debate between Barbie and Poor Things.
Yes.
This one didn't take me as long to land on one, but it was still a pain in the ass. I will say, while we're on the topic of Barbie's production design, there is something I don't think I've said yet. Maybe I did in the last video, actually. I don't remember. That I have more respect for Gerwig than I once did. because I've said some things about Gerwig where I'm just not much of a fan. And I've been waiting to see something to click for me to understand why so many people in the industry treat her like Jesus. And they did the Meet the DGA nominees panel with the nominees, and Gerwig was talking about the production design and the miniatures and stuff like that. And you could really see somebody who just loves what they're doing, loves being on a movie set, loves creating. And she said she was even crying just watching them paint the miniature trees, because it was just watching creativity and this camaraderie with the crew make this world come to life was just so moving to her. And it's like I get it. Okay, fine. Gerwig is an artist. I get it. Yeah, it makes sense now, and I have more appreciation for her now than I did before. And it is interesting to see how they used miniatures and like these old-fashioned ways of making stuff like Barbie Land come to life. But the thing about Poor Things is, when you first think of Poor Things in production design, maybe the first thing that comes to mind is the green screen stuff, which makes you think there's not a lot there. But pretty much anything that's not a sky, it seems pretty like in a very elaborate set. To the point, there is so much detail and mass in the thing sets. The end credits show you that you didn't even see everything in the movie. The end credits is like, this is all the shit we made that didn't even make it on camera. So thinking about that and thinking about the detail in all these different sets and how massive they are and how they kind of feel like their own world, essentially, I had to go with Poor Things. But once again, it's Poor Things or it's Barbie, and Barbie would not be surprising either. But Poor Things' production design, when you really look at the details, is on a whole other level.
I too am also going to go with Poor Things. The scale of what has to be designed for like some of those spots and everything, it's really sort of getting the right set dressing and also working out where you need to do whatever for your green screen. I'm surprised how much of that was sort of green screened when some of it does look like it was actually shot, in sort of live like buildings rather than sets. So yeah, I'm going with Poor Things as well.
Yeah, and when they had the guild, it was Poor Things beating Barbie as well. So just the sheer like magnification of both movies, just outrageous. That's the reason why they're both contending for the victory here. Another award Oppenheimer can't win. But the thing is, Poor Things just looks visually stunning. Like from the second you watch any frame of the movie, it's like the production design is just incredible. Like I like the scenes on the boat, on the cruise ship. Like the background, how everything looks like a painting. I think that's perfect. And I feel that while I would give costumes the edge to Barbie, I'm going to give production design to Poor Things. And depending on how a very bigger bloodbath comes up in a couple more categories, it could be the award that Poor Things wins above anything else. So it might be its only victory of the night. I guess we'll have to see.
Also worth noting when you're talking about green screens is, I remember this being a big conversation when the first Avatar came out. And to be honest, I still don't know. When you're dealing with green screens, where the line divides production design and visual effects, I am not sure. So, because didn't Avatar win production design despite being mostly green screens?
Yeah, I think I was butthurt about that, if I remember correctly.
So I'm not sure where the line is there, but like I said, if there's some part of the green screens that counts as Poor Things production design, you could also take that into effect.
Yeah.
but I have no idea, honestly, where that line is. All right, let's make up for lost time and do the next two.
Oh, and just clarify what you said for production design and costume, just because I was sorting out other stuff.
AJ had the double for Poor Things.
Yes.
Yeah. And then yours, Owen?
I had Barbie for costumes and production design for Poor Things.
Right. So I was just checking on.
No, you're fine.
All right, editing. We're in the Big Ten now.
Oh my god.
It's going to get a lot faster now because a lot of these are.
When we get to the Big 8, I want to go through at least what chat's been doing. Otherwise, we'll be here for another 2 hours after the predictions. So.
I require food, so no.
All right, we can do this one quickly. Editing is Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Kills of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. That's a really good lineup, but if this isn't Oppenheimer, I'm gonna fucking riot, and I don't think I have to work. Like, how do you watch Oppenheimer and not just immediately say that's winning editing? It's like being asked to identify a color. It's like
purple. I mean, it's still amazing after all these years Thelma is doing the quality of work that she's doing in her,
yes,
6th decade now, probably? But I'm also going for Oppenheimer, but it's... Because Thelma's won one before, right? We aren't in the territory of we aren't in the territory of bloody Roger Deakins, are we?
Well, also to Schoonmaker's credit, I know people will complain that Kills of the Flower Moon is 3.5 hours. I will forever die on the hill that it does not feel like it at all.
That's me saying that. That's a bigger deal than AJ saying that. Me saying it's not a big deal that it's nearly 4 hours.
I take it back. Her first Oscar nomination was for the Woodstock documentary in '71. So she's nearly done 50. You know, she's nearly 55 years into her career.
Raging Bull, The Aviator, The Departed. These are all the wins.
But at that point, like, Woodstock was 71, Raging Bull was 81, Goodfellas was 91, Gangs of New York was 2003. So, like, she only did stuff every, 10 years. So the last 20 years has let the side down when she's got him multiple times.
Now, this is the part when me from a couple years ago would say, you know what, I'm going to take a swing for the fences on this one. I'm going to go with an inspired choice, like going with Anatomy of a Fall or The Holdovers. But again, I kind of want to win this competition. And if I make stupid moves, I'm not going to. So the correct answer here is Oppenheimer. And I don't see anything else winning.
All right, and cinematography. We have El Conde, Kills of the Flower Moon, Maestro. Here, that's such a cool choice.
Tell me about it.
Here's the thing. obviously I'm all about Oppenheimer all day. I'm a little appalled that Killers is not at least in this more.
I agree.
I mean, my choice would still be Oppenheimer, and I'm also predicting Oppenheimer, because he's only been nominated like what 2 or 3 times, but Hoyte van Hoytema has quickly started to become one of like the juggernaut names in cinematography, at least modern cinematography, right? His name has like so much weight to it already, and it feels like he's like getting started still.
So you went with Oppenheimer, AJ?
Yes.
Same here.
It helps that it took the Guild last night too.
Yeah, true. I forgot about that. Yeah, I feel that anything that is Nolan always seems to be a relative shoe-in for at least a nomination on cinematography. And obviously Hoyt's done. I think this would be Hoyt's first win, right?
It would be his first win.
Yeah. So considering
Dunkirk.
what he's done over the past 10 years or so with Tinker and Interstellar and Spectre and Dunkirk and Tenet and Nope, because there was certainly a visual style to that for sure. I keep forgetting Ad Astra as well.
When I hear Hoyte van Hoytema's name, one of the first things that comes to mind is Nope, actually.
But yeah, let's go for Switzerland.
Yeah, it's really hard to bet against Oppenheimer, especially in cinematography.
Right. Briefly to the comments. I say briefly, we've got a lot to go through. People are talking.
We did.
People are talking, women are talking, men are talking, non-binary people are talking. Spencer says, I love the Teacher's Lounge. Parsnip for VFX has Godzilla -1. Josie saying Teacher's Lounge is a very thought-provoking filler. Spencer said, Naiad should have been nominated for VFX. That might be one of the things that actually was strong in Naiad, to be fair. At least in my opinion. Like all the effects that they had to do a realistic depiction of long-distance swimming and everything. Josie says, I can't stress how much I love Godzilla -1, one of the best blockbusters in recent years, blow some American ones out the water.
Such great showing in black and white too, Josie. If you haven't got a chance to, I completely recommend it.
And then also, because they go with the more best picture movie instead of the best visual looking movie, that's why I'm saying Napoleon. So there's an option there. Spencer says, I really enjoyed Star Trek First Contact for visual effects in '96. Godzilla -1 is the best love story in modern blockbuster I've seen lately, says Josie. That might change when I see Doom Part 2. From what I've heard, possibly. Parsnip would have put Naiad for everything, including international, because Annette Bening spoke in French and Spanish. I don't think it was submitted, but there we go. Speaking of Godzilla -1, the nominee at the luncheon had a Godzilla in his hands. I forgot about that. Twisters is coming soon from my favourite director, says Spencer. Sound should be split into 2 categories again. It's a shame I can't have this the binaural sort of thing where I can go on one side and say no and say on the other side and say no, and it would be like a weird stereo for you, but whatever. Josie says, speaking of Godzilla, favourite Toho film? Ooh, probably the original, as in the actual Japanese one, not the one where we get bloody Ironside just randomly in like, this is what I'm doing to make sure the American audiences understand.
I like the DVD that I have because it has both. I mean, I don't really go back to the Raymond Burr one, but I like that I have it with it.
Yeah. Lately, I've been thinking about this year's Best Picture lineup and the names on the blockbuster covers if we lived in a world with no streaming and Blockbuster still existed. Just imagine the demand for Oppenheimer at Blockbuster. It's probably fair.
It's
And
a
then
nice but very distant thought.
Bryce says not to
Depressing thought.
mention, like Interstellar, Blade Runner, and First Man, Napoleon has the most nominations out of the 5 overall. Josie finally saw All of Us Strangers on Friday and loved it. Spencer says, "Don't tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead is a classic." Then why are they remaking it? Brilliant writing and acting, heartbreaking but also super touching. I guess that's Josie following up from All of Us Strangers. It's in between Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. So it's like
for a split second, I thought that's where we were, and it's like, I never thought about it that way.
Bryce says either Neil Corbold is going to get 1 or go 0 for free. Yeah, it's like Neil Corbold, and the 2 films that aren't have him involved. Some Don't Tell's Mum the Babysitter's Dead trivia. Production nearly stopped towards the end of shooting when Christopher Pettit's drug addiction was getting out of control, so a few scenes were cut to keep the film on schedule. The original script was written with Winona Ryder in mind for the role of Sue Ellen, but turned it down because she was doing Edward Scissorhands and Mermaid. The 2 pictures on Sue Ellen's desk at work, one is of Melissa. That same picture was used in Halloween 4.
I think I remember that, actually.
Parsnip and Bry both go with Zone of Interest for sound. It's so awesome how 2 people from White Ribbon were in movies this year. Friedel in Zone of Interest and Burnett in The Teacher's Lounge. Glazer should reunite them. Parsnip says, "I don't think Oppenheimer's safe. Sound of Metal won sound and so will Zone of Interest." Yeah, but that year's Sound of Metal was safe, right?
Sound of Metal was 2020, though. That was competition was different that year.
Yeah.
Sound for me is probably May, December, says Spencer. Okay. Zone trivia. Alexander, the young Polish girl leaving apples for the starving prisoners, was 90-year-old when she met Jonathan Glazer and died shortly after. So we're saying Glazer caused it, right?
Well, when I say 2020 was a weird year, also, I need to point out, if COVID hadn't happened, Sound of Metal would have been up against Dune for sound. Do you think Sound of Metal would have still won?
The bike the film uses and the dress the actress wore both belong to her. Oh, Spencer says Sound for me is May, December, even though it's not nominated. That defeats the purpose, Spencer. We did personal predictions before. Animated feature Spider-Man, says Parsnip. Oh, the family dog in the film of Zone of Interest is Sandra Huller's pet dog. Hopefully it gets on well with the dog from the Anatomy of a Fall. Animated feature, Bry went with Spider-Man because of the PGA. Spencer said Robot Dreams and The Peasants. Josie says we have the Robot Dreams book at the library, with Spencer saying I didn't know it was a book. I recently saw Boy in the Heron a second time, loved it again. More Zone of Interest stuff. The crew wanted to shoot in the real hot house, but it was in a bad shape, and because the fuck just happened there? Everything moved. That really confused the hell out of me. Bloody hell. So the real house was in a bad shape, and because the camp is a World Heritage Site, no construction could happen anywhere in or around it. Best animated film ever? Ooh. Because it set the precedent, Snow White, probably.
That's where my mind was going also. If we're going by personal preference, I'd probably say like The Lion King, but yeah, for some reason though, the question made Snow White immediately come to mind first.
I mean, I've always been a little bit biased, but it's always been the one I go towards. I'd probably have to see either Aladdin or Cinderella.
So because of the hot house not being filmable, and they looked for a plan B and chose an abandoned building close to the camp that they could repair and adapt to the needs of the production. Hence the building the thing. Legit. Parsnip says Giant for favourite. The youngest son banged on the drums. It was a satirical reference to Gunter Grass's novel, which was adapted in the movie The Tin Drum. Sally Hawkins is so great. Probably Ponyo, says Spencer. International film. Parsnip goes with Zone of Interest. Boy and the Heron would pair well with Pagemaster. Little Prince and the Eight-Headed Dragon and Little Nemo. Adventures in Slumberland. Joe says amazing as Zone of Interest is. Perfect Days would be my vote. Bry says Zone of Interest. This all supporting actress is going to be the first category of the night. More than likely. Spencer says El Capitano. But then says The Takes to Things would be my win if it was around. Then documentary. Bry says 20 Days of Mariupol. So does Parsnip. Spencer says Four Daughters. Josie once again saying Pot au Feu is a better title than Taste of Things. Documentary short for Parsnip is ABC's A Book Burning. Spencer says Island Between. Josie says Last Repair Shop was really good. Spencer said my favourite Juliette Binoche. Parsnip said Spencer my favourite Juliette Binoche's Horseman on the Roof. One thing I'll sing praises about with Island in Between, says Josie, is I love that they included the Teresa Teng song. Oh, and Bry said because the film just premiered at Sundance, I'm saying Nene and Waipo. So I think we've covered everything. Everybody in the chat will be right or wrong. The song was in common with Almost a Love Story, one of my parents of past lives. Parsnip has live action short, Henry Sugar. Animated short, Letter to a Pig. Spencer has animated Our Uniform and live action The After. Parsnip says, Owen, regarding the book banning now being topical, think about Ukraine and how US may up funding this time next year. We'll put 20 Days of Mariupol in a whole different light and it's scary. Ben Proudfoot, the co-director of Last Repair Shop, did Queen of Basketball.
Yep.
Spencer's my issue with ABC's A Book Banning is it read like a PowerPoint instead of a film.
I mean, you're not wrong, but it's a lot more than just that.
Josie, the world's smallest violin, Mr. Crab. Okay. Live action short for Bry is Wonderful World of Henry Sugar. Parsnip also says Parsnip says, you know, you might not have liked that PowerPoint of like the ABC's of book banning, but what was Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth but a PowerPoint presentation? And hit what? Have you done wrong?
Nope.
Bryce says the title Red, White and Blue, I believe, was the original title for Causeway. Yeah, fun fact, the real Roald Dahl wrote the screenplay for You Only Live Twice. And then, of course, Ray Fiennes, who played him in the film, was in a whole number of Bond films. The only people who can vote for the shorts are those who attended a special screening, right? Ugh, I can't remember. Parsnip also says the 4K of Steel Magnolias is up for pre-order on Amazon. And Spencer just randomly also says, You're killing me, Smalls. Oh, and the Glory 4K is up for pre-order today as well, Parsnip says. Animated short, yeah, 95 cents from the duo of Jared and Joshua Hess behind the upcoming Minecraft movie, along with the ones I previously mentioned. Josie saying favourite movie featuring a bird. Kez. Ken Loach at it again. If war is over wins, they better play John Lennon to make up for them not paying Beatles music when Drive My Car won International Feature 2 seasons ago. That isn't how it works, Josie. This isn't like the Emmys, and it's like, let's find something that's, you know, let's find something that sounds like the thing. Yeah, they're going to play Schindler's List score then when Zone of Interest wins? Don't think so. Song for My People performance is going to be amazing, says Josie. I was watching a video today about actors who are in their 90s, and one was Robert Wagner. Do you think he murdered Natalie Wood? Maybe. We'll do the legal precedent. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Bride for original song, I went with What Was I Made For, not because of the Globe win. It was the Grammy win where it won. That influenced Bry's choice. Parsnip said, I also went with What Was I Made For, but I was manifesting Dance a Night Away winning. We all know the real winner is Bring Me to Life by Evanescence from Poor Things. It's not original. Unless we go to a time machine. We all know not only she's going to be last, but Diane Warren is going to be pissed off again when she loses. Especially, she'll complain that she lost to Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell twice. Diane Warren should have wrote good songs in the 80s. She would have won then, said Parsnip Burger. Yeah. How cool would it be if the Poor Things Portuguese band performed? Yeah. I could see something like that happening for a bit. Like in between stuff. Parsnip and Bry both have Oppenheimer for score. Evanescence has 2 Grammys. New artist and best hard rock performance for that. And nothing since. I don't know. One of the things I really liked about All of the Strangers was the score. Speaking of favourite LGBT plus film. Ooh.
I was thinking we had this question recently. I feel like.
I don't know if we did LGBT plus. Moonlight still resonates with me, even though it will have war wounds for certain people because of bloody Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. Parsnip and Bry both have Poor Things for makeup and hair. Oh, Josie asks you, AJ, how would SpongeBob fare in creative writing class taught by Monk from American Fiction? Would SpongeBob just write fuck all for time?
Well, we already know how SpongeBob deals with foul language, so if Mr. Krabs isn't there to jump down his throat, he'd probably really enjoy Monk's work. Mind you, not the work that Monk wants to put out, but he might very well enjoy fuck for all we know.
Oh, Bry also noting with his makeup and hair, the Poor Things win is the only thing that Bry has Poor Things winning on. Interesting. I could see Bella Baxter doing really well in a creative writing class. She'd be like J.B. Fletcher, i.e. Murder, She Wrote. At work, I cleaned the book, The Oldest Student. AJ, I remember when I brought it up as one of the fake Oscar movies you said that it would win an actress and makeup. I've been watching old episodes of Matlock. Holy shit. So costumes. Brian Parsnip are both going with Barbie. Although Josie says Iron Claw should have been in there as well as makeup. Not the makeup on Ric Flair. No. Taste of Things also has amazing costumes. Bry said, as I said, with costumes, Barbie. But Parsnip's going with Poor Things. And cinematography and editing, both Oppenheimer for Parsnip. I share my official personal nods, but I want to save that for the wrap-up chat post-Oscar show. That's fine, Josie. I'd love to continue chatting, but I'm super tired. I'm going to shower and watch a movie and read. Before then, I'd like to ask you guys, which filmmaker would you like to see adapt the Dr. Seuss book? I would say Ari Aster, but Yorgos would also do a cool thing. And what would a Nolan Dr. Seuss film be like? It'd have a lot of honking, because he'd get Hans Zimmer to do the score. Like... I mean, we've
Well,
mentioned
I
his name multiple
mean,
times.
I could
Go ahead.
see if it looks anything like the Barbie sets, I would say Gerwig, I guess.
I was going to say, in that similar style, I'm surprised Wes Anderson hasn't been approached yet.
I don't have to say it. No. Just beat me to it.
Yeah, because I'm definitely seeing candy-colored sets, which is pure Wes Anderson, and now it would seem probably something Gerwig's going to be associated with.
It depends on how Narnia goes.
Oh god, if we're going to have pink Narnia. Yes! Do it!
The peak '90s Tim Burton would have been really interesting doing a Dr. Seuss adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Bry says to Josie, no one's allowed to do a live-action Dr. Seuss because of what happened with Cat in the Hat. I could foresee it happening, considering how much live-action Disney have done already. There'll be some urge to somehow do a human version of Lorax. Or, you know, Lion King style Horton Hears a Who. I wish we lived in 1988 and I was the role of Tess McGill, played by Melanie Griffith in Working Girl, but in real life. What movie character do you like to be? Ooh.
I haven't slept, and these are really big questions.
Yes. Bry also has editing and cinematography for Oppenheimer. Parsnip saying Nia should have been nominated for the scene of Annette in the ocean yelling, "I'm burning!" by itself. I do agree with while Oppenheimer felt like it moved fast, I thought Killers and Maestro would never end. Bryce said, I forgot another reason I'm also saying Napoleon. It's because, you know, Gladiator 2 is not winning next year because it's Doom Part 2's award to lose. On visual effects. I wonder what object. I wonder what object Del Toro would use for his tequila at the carpet like a jet last year. I'm guessing a Barbie pink high heel or an Oppenheimer hat. It might be a Godzilla thing. He might have borrowed it off the other guy. And Parsnip says Gladiator won 24 years ago. I think this is a different generation, and I doubt Gladiator will get the same kind of accolades now. It depends how visual effects heavy it is. Then again, considering what we saw in Napoleon, I wouldn't be surprised if Gladiator 2 got nominated. But considering what we've seen from Doom Part 2, it's a strong contender. Will it hold off for the next 9 months of other films coming out? We shall see. Chat's finally stopped chatting. Oh, hang on. Oh, Briar said not Del Toro, Jimmy Kimmel's Guillermo. Make it clear. Yeah. I don't care about that person. Half the time he's just there in his jacket, just happy for the ride. And I'm not talking about Jimmy Kimmel's, I'm talking about Del Toro.
God, the rest of this is just like, go take 2 seconds.
Right, so, to Best Supporting... Randolph!
Not quite. We got 2 before her.
All right, the screenplays.
Big 8. We've done this since August. It's finally the culmination of everything. And it's all obvious.
This one actually the screenplays I'm not sold on. But let's talk about that. For adapted, we have American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. So American Fiction is clearly at the front of this conversation now. But I don't think it's competed against Barbie yet. It might or might not have at the Globes. I don't know, but that doesn't matter because it's the Globes.
I'll double check.
My main concern is that the industry is so in love with Gerwig, they're starting to get really desperate to they're gonna get really desperate to say, "Hey, we're sorry about that director snub," even though the director snub isn't that weird. When you're actually paying attention, I'm really, really not ruling out that Barbie could steal this from Core Jefferson. I'm gonna say American Fiction, but I feel like they're just. It is interesting how much everybody's going out of their way to bow at the feet of Gerwig while she's also still getting snubbed occasionally. This is what I thought was going to happen with Little Women, and Taika Waititi won. So we've kind of come back to, okay, is this where they're going to give? I hate to make it sound like Gerwig will only win screenplay through pity, but so far these last two moments where she's been in the category seem like she could win kind of based only on that. And obviously people are obsessed with that America Ferrera speech, which is part of the writing. So obsessed with it, she got that completely inexplicable supporting actress nomination. So it's completely believable Barbie could take this, but I'm going to say American Fiction.
I feel like that I can't go against what I've said the past 2-3 weeks. So I am also sticking with American Fiction. And I just clarified, American Fiction wasn't even nominated at the Globes. And of course that's the only time when we would have done it, because everybody else split it into original and adapted, and of course everybody else, including the WGA, say it's original because Warner Brothers said it was. And the Academy's like, hold the phone. So
I am very pleased that the Academy did not buckle on that.
It seems fitting. Anyway, Owen, are you gonna say fuck?
Not live.
No, I only realised just then. I was like, wow, we're breaking the fifth wall.
So Tony McNamara here seems to be like the one that jumped out at me immediately. And
Yeah.
you remember back in the day when Poor Things was actually contending for this win?
Yeah, if anybody should be getting a sorry we fucked up win in this category, it's him when he lost to Green Book.
I am the Green Book apologist on the network, apparently. Here's the thing. Yeah, this feels like it could be inspired, it could be obvious, it might be none of the above, you never know. But yeah, I have been saying this for a while now, and I feel that the Oscar is going to reveal it. As much as I would be okay with Greta and Noah taking this, as much as I'd be okay with Tony McNamara taking this. Nolan feels kind of disjointed here. It's the opposite of Gerwig. It's like, for example, it's like, let's give the director award but not screenplay. But like with Greta, give a screenplay and not director. But in this case, I feel that the train continues, and it's deserved. Core Jefferson, American Fiction.
And original.
Yes.
We have Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives. Again, it's down to 2, probably. So, obviously, Anatomy of a Fall, like American Fiction, has been getting pretty consistent wins. I refuse to say The Holdovers is out of this.
No, you shouldn't.
I really thought a long time about this one, actually. Even though it looks like Anatomy of a Fall has a nice lead, I think The Holdovers is right there. I just, like, it's, yeah. Like I said, Anatomy of a Fall, but the holdovers is right there. I really think. I was gonna rant about a stupid comment that I saw recently on another like forum, but it's 2.5 hours in. I'm done.
So that's Anatomy of a Fall for you, AJ, then.
What was that?
Which Anatomy of a Fall for you?
Yes.
Just because of it, even going back to the Globes, how it sort of came from nowhere, but just seems to consistently at least getting the right hits from the right people. I'm also going with Anatomy of a Fall on this one.
Yeah, the holdovers is definitely your competition here. I don't want to discount Celine's song, but to give away my hand, which I'm pretty sure is obvious, because moving forward, I think everything's obvious. This is probably the last non-obvious answer, but could still be obvious depending on who you're asking. I would like to see Past Lives win something at the Oscars, but sadly, it's the one that's going to go home empty-handed. So, Justine Triet.
Since these next ones are gonna be really quick, I feel weird now that I brought up that stupid comment. I'm not gonna say it, so maybe I will say it.
There you go.
I think it certainly wouldn't surprise me. I think it might have been Reddit, and I have said so many times, if there's one place you do not want to look at discourse on award season, it's the fucking dipshits on Reddit. I have no, and this isn't like I do awards subreddits. These are just like random comments from like probably the random movie discussions. Somebody with it's the like I said, it's one thing if people aren't really paying attention and they just make comments like whatever. It's when they're so confident
Yeah.
in their total idiocy. This guy just stated as an absolute fact. I think they were talking about Anatomy of a Fall. And this guy, with just the complete and total confidence of any expert on Earth, said Anatomy of a Fall deserves to win Best Original Screenplay. It's such a shame they're going to give it to Bradley Cooper.
What?
Like I said, I don't know what these people are looking at that gives them such confidence to say that. Where does it come from, and where can I get some? I really could use some confidence in my life. Where does it come from? I need to find this confidence well that these idiots have somehow found.
If I can somehow
And they
find
just-
this comment, I'm just waiting until the actual award ceremony happens. And when Bradley Cooper doesn't win, I'm just going to write underneath it as a reply, this aged well.
It's like I saw, it was the 2017 season. Somebody said after the nominations came out, I know people are talking about The Shape of Water and 3 Billboards. I'm going to put all my money down on Phantom Thread. It's going to come in at the last minute. And it's like, yeah, it came in at the last minute on nominations day. That's the last fucking thing it's going to do, except for its costume win. But once again, movies about costumes. They've got that anyway. Yeah, I don't know how I still end up there to see comments like that, but I wish I could. I never want to see anybody on Reddit talk about award season ever again. But they will continue. The person that said that, think about the fact that the person that said that is walking around right now Still thinking that.
Good God.
Because you can't sway somebody like that. When somebody's that far gone already. I know I'm talking like they have a mental illness when all they said was they think Bradley Cooper's winning screenplay. But I mean, what's the difference?
Right.
And this is gonna be a fun little thing to come back to if, let's say, that does happen. Let's say
Oh my word.
Bradley Cooper has 12 Oscar nominations. Let's give him one. If you guys don't know, that's a real number, by the way. Bradley Cooper's got fucking 12 Oscar nominations. So, speaking of acting nominations, let's. This is my last time to acknowledge this award season.
Okay, we know where we're going with this.
All right, for supporting actress, we have Academy Award nominee Emily Blunt, and that's all I give a fuck about. Daniel Brooks, America Ferrera, Jodie Foster, and Randolph. I don't even need to say it.
Nope.
Is anybody not saying... hold on, some fuckstick's gonna come in here and probably think I'm saying Blunt. I'm saying Randolph because who's fucking not saying Randolph? I don't even think people know why they're voting for Randolph. They just are.
I feel this is an appropriate point because Owen and me are also saying Davine. So I'll briefly go through some of the stuff so we just catch up. Brian Parsnip both go with American Fiction for adapted. Parsnip also has Anatomy of a Fall for original. Parsnip asks AJ why no sleep.
I wish I knew, dude. My body hates me? Maybe?
And of course, Bry saying the news media wants Barbie to win because it's the news media. But then Parsnip says, I don't think so. The New York Times did an article saying that Barbie was not a good movie.
There's going to be a million articles. There's going to be a million articles like that. There's also going to be a million articles going insane about the fact that it only one song.
Well, Pamela Paul's article for apparently the New York Times is listed as Barbie is bad. There, I said it. What a title.
Wow. You're so brave, man. You're such a hot take, dude. If only we could all be like you.
Oh, here's
This is what happens when AJ didn't get sleep, ladies and gentlemen.
And we only have fucking 5 categories left, and we're gonna reach the 3-hour mark, which should not have happened.
Also, Bry asks, which supporting actress performance is better, Randolph's or America Ferrera's in Barbie? Do you feel, AJ?
Randolph, easily. That's ridiculous.
Bry for original screenplay as Anatomy of a Fall. So if it's their one couple that's going to win, it's them. One thing that Anatomy of a Fall is stronger than the holdovers is that Trier managed to make it in the director, but Payne isn't. And then, just in case you were wondering what chat were also thinking about it, Bry went Divine Joy Randolph, the holdovers, moving on. And Parsnip said Divine Joy Randolph, but don't care. So, right now to best supporting Downey. Actor.
Let's get to a sweep. Let's do a sweep I do care about. I'm happy about this. Sterling K. Brown, De Niro, Downey, Gosling, Ruffalo. Anybody not saying Downey? Dude, I didn't get to. I just interrupted Ashley here, but.
Well, actually, just straight up said I was gonna say Randolph without me even saying it. So I'm like, yep, okay, let's go.
Best supporting Downey.
I didn't really say anything about Downey when we were talking about our personal picks, because all the things I could have said about how great Downey is a spoiler.
Yeah.
But just every every single nuanced moment, every single big moment, every single thing about Downey's performance once the reveal happens is some of the best shit I've seen from an actor in at least the last few years.
It's one of those
And
times.
I could not be more behind.
It's one of those
I
times
could not be
where a
more
second
behind this
viewing really makes you notice some of the things even more that you never thought of the first time round.
Yeah, he's making expressions that have two different meanings, basically. Yeah. And it's, yes, I love, this is a sweep that I love, and which means, by the way, that it could just abruptly stop. He could pull an Eddie Murphy right now. Actually, Eddie Murphy lost BAFTA, so it would have happened by now if it was Eddie Murphy. So
both Parsnip and Bry are also saying Downey, by the way. So then to the only one that probably isn't a lock. Lead actress.
Right. For actress, we have Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone for Kills the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Things. I mean, can we take a minute to admire? That's a really good lineup.
Yeah.
Like in any other year, Hüller would have this. In any other year, Mulligan, I think, could take this in another year.
For sure.
Obviously, it's narrowed down to the Stones.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny since Scorsese's in this conversation. Yeah, we had the conversation before, and I think Brian backed me up on this with another example I couldn't think of in the moment, where it seems like when there is a race between two people, and one of them has already won and the other hasn't, the person that has won before wins BAFTA, and the person that hasn't won before wins SAG, and the SAG winner goes on to win. The two examples we used were Lupita and Lawrence in 2013 and Blanchett and Yo last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like running with that. So I'm going to say Gladstone.
Yeah, we're going to get a Killers reunion. Brendan Fraser giving the award to Lily Gladstone.
Holy shit, I didn't even think about that. And they don't even have scenes together. So it's like a it's like a full puzzle now.
See, I was thinking about going with Emma Stone here, but she's already got her flowers. It's time to literally give Lily Gladstone hers.
No. All right.
Yeah, can we just say the three for the next and just take it home?
Well, I think we should acknowledge actor obviously being Cooper, Domingo, Giamatti, Murphy, and Wright.
Giamatti!
We were talking about Murphy and Giamatti being the whole race, and then it was like, oh, are they gonna split SAG and BAFTA because it's really fucking close? I don't know. Critics' Choice may have just like blinded us for a second, which is really weird to
with
say.
our minds.
But it was like, I really feel like this is really close. Really feel like they're gonna split. I really feel like we're not gonna know who's gonna win between the two of them until Oscar night. Murphy wins BAFTA, then fucking double taps him at SAG, and basically ended the.
Over.
Now here's the thing, though, is if I'm being perfectly honest, maybe this is just me getting swept up in the season, hoping for excitement. For some reason, I'm still thinking Giamatti's not impossible.
No, not at all.
I'm saying Murphy because SAG and BAFTA, but and the fact that he's in the movie, he's the face and star of the. I know we went through this with Michael Keaton and Birdman, but still, he is really. It's the whole movie has been marketed around the fact that the whole thing is on his shoulders, and the thing is fucking wiping the floor with its competition. So if ever it makes perfect sense for an actor to go in with his movie and receive the same praise and accolades as his movie itself, this, I think, would be it. But honestly, my jaw would not hit the floor if it was Giamatti at the very, very last second. I think maybe the reason I think that is Giamatti's like veteran beloved status feels very believable still, that it could somehow survive a SAG-BAFTA attack, but I'm not betting on it. I'm saying Murphy for sure.
Yeah, I am also sticking with Murphy. I feel once again it's another case of like the guy's had a pretty lengthy career and he's now getting the chance to get some awards glory with it that isn't Peaky Blinders. Until the Peaky Blinders movie comes out, which will probably get him another nomination at least at BAFTA.
There's really no reason to even say anything else at this point. I'd love Giamatti to take this, but it's not going to happen. Cillian Murphy wins.
I would like to issue a very sincere and respectful shout out to Justin Trey, Scorsese, Lanthimos, and Glazer for losing to Nolan for making his best movie and making something this grand scale. Like, if you're gonna lose to a director for a movie, this is the director and movie I would want to lose to at this time. Because as we talked about, there has just been an unspeakably incredible lineup of directors this year in general, not just the nominees here, but throughout the whole year. We've had an embarrassment of riches of incredible directors putting out incredible work. But I mean, yeah. Like I said, I was one of the dreaded Nolan fanboys back when the Batman trilogy was out. I got tired of him and kind of thought, oh, maybe a lot of his movies weren't as great as I thought they were. One movie brought me right fucking back to where I was. So, yeah.
Bry does mention what I was thinking of in that, I was already pitching, screen legends giving the award to Nolan because I figured that might be happening. Because, Bry does mention, this feels like Nolan's The Departed, as obviously that was to Scorsese. And, yeah.
I can't get that image out of my head. The last time this came up, and Ashley, you talked about the scenario of Scorsese being up there even though he's nominated.
Like, so bad.
It's even funnier to imagine Scorsese doing it by himself, and it's just like he's about to open the envelope. It's like, oh man, I hope it's me. Is it? So everybody's saying Nolan, I guess.
Jeez.
Hell, I just saw director Bong give out Best Director at the Anime Awards in Japan. That was like a big surprise as well. The extra confusing bit is he was speaking South Korean, which needed Japanese translation, which then needed English translation on the English stream. So it was like, what? So yeah, let's finish the Oppenheimer talk.
It's such an amazing feeling being on the other side of an annoying sweep. I'm so used to hating sweeps and getting bored with them and saying, for the love of shit, can you make it exciting? Can you give it to one other thing? I don't feel that way at all this year. It's like, I can't get enough. I'm going to miss this next year. I'm going to miss just being able to watch this happen. And when the next movie's doing this, I'm going to go back to being annoyed with it, I'm sure. But a really uncharacteristically fantastic lineup of movies here. American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest. That's a really good lineup. I like it a lot.
So yeah, Owen, you wanna do you wanna finish by saying Oppenheimer?
So I don't think I really even need to talk at this point. We don't discuss last year for many reasons. And it is nice for AJ to finally get on another. The curse is not officially real in the circumstance, to quote Brendan Fraser.
Well, the Oscar ceremony still has to happen, but I feel really good right now.
It's over. I really hope I can get on that train again someday. I like Oppenheimer a lot, but I mean, it's not my favorite of the list that's up there. Um, and if we could replace the Zone of Interest with the Iron Claw, I'd be a lot happier. But the thing is, I would say I'd have 10 for 10 instead of 9 for 10. Because I like or love almost everything that's nominated for picture, like I said, except for the Zone of Interest. And I tried, I really did. Yeah, there's really no reason to say anything further. This has been a deserved win. This has been the flowers that he has deserved for a long time, and the movie is exactly what it's supposed to be. It is the magnum opus of Christopher Nolan, and that's the reason why it, unlike last year, actually deserves its Best Picture win. Oppenheimer.
Bye. I'm just literally gonna sign out right now.
Briefly, luckily there wasn't too much to go through. Parsnip went with Gladstone on actress, as did Bry. They differed on actor though. Parsnip going with Giamatti, Bry going with Murphy. Both went with Nolan for director, and both went with Oppenheimer for picture. Bry asks, which of the 5 picture nominations that didn't make it in director would you pick? So that's obviously Cord Jefferson for American Fiction, Greta for Barbie, Payne for Holdovers, Cooper for Maestro, Celine Song for Past Lives. Ooh.
What's the question?
Out of the 5 that didn't make it in director that came from the 10 Best Picture nominees, which of the 5 would be the best out of Jefferson, Gerwig, Payne, Cooper, and Song? Personally, I'd say
from a
Song.
directing standpoint.
Yeah, personally, I'd say Song, but Payne probably would be more likely.
No, you said personally. Yeah. That's Brian's asking your pick.
I'd probably go Holdovers then, Alexander Payne.
I've made it clear a while now. I worship at the altar of past lives. So.
I think it'd be really tough for me to choose between Celine Song and Cord Jefferson because I love both of those movies so much.
Josie also says, in no way am I approving of the actions of you-know-who, but if Miramax from back in the day distributed any of the films in this lineup, which ones would they distribute? Poor Things. I can't think why, Harvey.
I also get Miramax vibes from American Fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get Miramax. Well, no. I was gonna say I get Miramax vibes from American Fiction and the Weinstein Company vibes from Poor Things, but I get Miramax vibes from Poor Things too. Not just for that reason.
Parsnip said Killers of the Flower Moon might be. Whether that's
the one that came to my mind too.
And maybe I don't think Oppenheimer would, because I don't feel Nolan would, but I feel Scorsese probably, well, yeah, even if you take out the Weinstein stuff, that does feel like the sort of, I mean, it does feel very Cold Mountain-esque in terms of like epic period film. Killers does. in that thing. Oh, Bryce says it'll be Michelle Yeoh giving it to Gladstone because of the extended presentation. Okay. We'll see.
Why do they always fuck it up? So it's so simple. I just said how pleased I was that all 4 winners were announced to come back. That means we could have done it the traditional way, and by the way, saved like 50 minutes. I think when you go back to 2009 and you look at the presentation, each one is like, it's like a 10-minute video for each category. That's gonna waste so much time. And people are going to complain again that the show's too long, and that's going to be a massive culprit as to why.
What about an Anthony Perkins Chadwick Boseman comparison? Oh, I guess that's over the whole Anthony Perkins. You mean Hopkins? Also Parsip said, let's face it, AJ, was it Nolan that brought you back or Emily Blunt?
I'm sure it was the combination. Everything, like I've been saying, the reason I love that it's sweeping all these categories so much is that Oppenheimer is like at the peak of every aspect of filmmaking. And yes, the fact that the fact that she just happens to be in it is serendipity, I guess.
Parsnip also says bump out Maestro for Naiad, sorry, then it'll be a good list of films. We'll get to that tomorrow, I guess. Presentation and the original song performance, that's a credit of background song minus I'm Just Ken and a song for my people. That's what Bryce says.
Yeah.
And then also interesting, let's see if Matt Damon shows up on Sunday. Having read the plot to Drive Away Dolls, that has whole new meanings.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for that to possibly come out and I might be able to see it. And Parsons says AJ needs some sleep before tomorrow. Make sure he gets some. Well, we will. Stop commenting. I need it as well. Honest.
I need food. I haven't eaten anything except for 2 cookies. That's it.
So tomorrow we'll be here at the same time to sort of unofficially do a movie club, I guess. We're working our way back into it by discussing Maestro and whether it deserves the love or hate, depending what side of the fence you're on. And then in terms of other stuff, my videos will be going up when I can with my situation. But obviously you've got a lot of archives of Owen Sip and Snacks and Voice of Liberty content, amongst other things.
There is such a shitload of archive.
Yeah.
We have shit all over the place. It's all there. Have a go.
Put it on a playlist and take a nap ski. There you go.
Yes.
Helpthealgorithm.com. Let's go.
Somehow, if you in your sleep, you can like sleepwalk your way to pressing the like button on every single video. That'd be nice.
Yes.
So yeah, find me on Twitter X at AshesMyNameUK. Find Owen at Sir Owen Disney. AJ cannot be found on social media, and just like Keith Richards is also intrigued which stone is going to come on top. Or something. I don't know. Well, that being said, thanks to Bri, Parsnip, Josie, Spencer, nobody else. No random people going, I'm sorry, I've just come in, what is this? That was weird last time. With that being said, thank you for watching and listening. Until next time, everybody. That's all we got to say about that.